Summer vacation as an adult would be awesome. You can sit at home and play video games all day and sleep in until noon. If the nation locks down, it might seem like summer vacation for adults, but here's what that means. What's up everybody, I am Jaspreet Singh and welcome to the Minority Mindset. As this virus continues to spread, the United States has declared a national emergency. We've seen brands like Nike and Apple take the lead by shutting down all their retail stores. Some states demanded that restaurants, movie theaters, and gyms close. There go my gains. And now we have people talking about a nationwide lockdown. America has never experienced a nationwide lockdown before, and while that idea seemed like a Disney fairy tale just a month ago, it's not completely out of the picture. I mean, Italy, France, and Spain are already doing it. There's no doubt that a US shutdown will be drastic. But what does that mean for you, your job, and your money? Summer vacation for adults? Not exactly. But before I get into how a nationwide lockdown will affect you, hit that thumbs up button below, because if you don't, then YouTube's not going to show our video to anybody else, and subscribe to the Minority Mindset YouTube channel. That way you don't miss our new financial education videos every single week, and hit the little notification bell too, because if you don't, then YouTube doesn't let you know when our new videos are released. If you really want to understand how a nationwide lockdown would affect you, you need to start by understanding the health and financial implications of a full lockdown. If the country enters a full-on shutdown, that means that all non-essential businesses will be forced to close. So that means all small businesses, restaurants, clothing stores, manufacturing plants. Essentially, if people don't need your services to stay alive, you're gonna have to close. Does Gucci count as an essential business? The goal is to prevent the accidental spread of the virus. State and local governments have been asking nicely for people not to go out in public unless it's necessary, but college kids are still partying like it's 2019. There have been about 250,000 cases of the virus, and that number is expected to get a lot bigger quickly. So the idea is, if you prevent people from being around each other, you might stop this virus from spreading. Then what's the question? Shut her down! Well, the lockdown would come at a price, which is why the government is doing everything they can to avoid a nationwide lockdown. If businesses are forced to close, that means that people won't be spending money, which means that businesses won't be making any money, which means that some businesses will be forced to go out of business. If a local clothing store with 5 employees is forced to lock down, that means that people won't be going into the store to buy their clothes. That means that they won't be making any money, but they still have their expenses to make. Like, the small business owner is still gonna have to pay for rent. They're still gonna have to pay their loan interest on all their inventory, and they're still gonna have to pay for all their employees. Why don't you just tell the landlord and the bank to wait on payments, and can't the government just pay for the employees? Well, they have the exact same problem. The landlord has bills too. The landlord has to pay for taxes, insurance, maintenance, loan payments, and management. The bank is relying on their interest payments so they can pay their expenses, and the government doesn't have any money. I mean, they only make money from us through taxes. Shutting things down is the easy part, but keeping businesses in business and keeping employees employed is the hard part. I mean, expenses aren't just gonna go away. If you lose your job, hopefully you have an emergency savings fund that you can dip into for emergencies, and if things do get tight, then you're gonna have to start cutting your expenses to make ends meet. It's the exact same for businesses. After early March, businesses lost a big chunk of revenue because people were scared to spend their money. And so if you have a nationwide lockdown, revenue would go to zero. So if your income is here at rock bottom and your expenses are still here, yes, these are technical terms, well, now businesses are gonna have to dip into their emergency savings fund to make up for this difference. And that's if they have an emergency savings fund. This crash showed us that although everything was sunshines and rainbows for the last decade, lots of businesses completely ignored or forgot basic business fundamentals, and they forgot to save for a rainy day. I remember reading this somewhere. I think it was Bill Gates, but don't quote me on this. But he said that he likes to keep 1 year's worth of operating expenses for his business in cash, just in case something crazy happens. This way they don't have to worry about going out of business. And ironically, in 2019, Microsoft was getting bashed by analysts and investors because they had something like $100 billion in cash, which was about a year's worth of operating expenses that they were just sitting on. And now in 2020, Microsoft is the one laughing because everyone else is asking for bailouts, and they're sitting back waiting for companies to go belly up. That way they can come in and buy them for pennies on the dollar. As soon as we saw the economy slow down in America, businesses started to panic because many of them were living paycheck to paycheck like a lot of Americans. And so then these businesses ran to banks to borrow as much money as possible. This way they had cash to stay in business. That's why so many people are scared of a nationwide lockdown, because businesses don't have the cash reserves to handle it. And so if businesses are forced to shut down for 1 month, you are going to see bankruptcies and layoffs skyrocket. To put it in perspective, a weekly jobs report just came out and it showed us that between March 8th and March 14th, 70,000 people lost their jobs. And now economists are predicting that jobless claims could be in the millions within just a couple of weeks. And remember, that's without a nationwide lockdown. Now, what you have to remember is that people don't live in a bubble. Well, okay, they sort of do, but they don't live in a financial bubble. If we start to see these layoffs go up, then that's gonna be a problem, because people are sort of like businesses in the sense that they don't have the cash saved up to protect them from an emergency. Like right now, 6 out of 10 Americans do not have $1,000 saved up. Turns out it's not just businesses who weren't good with their money, it's people too. So if people lose their jobs, that means they're not gonna have money coming in, and that means 3 things are gonna happen. First, that means people are gonna be spending less money because they have less money coming in. That means car companies are gonna hurt because people won't be buying new cars. That means the demand for real estate will come down because people won't be buying homes, so the price of homes might come down. And that means the economy might slow down even more because people aren't spending, which means businesses aren't making much money, which means more businesses might be forced to shut down. 2, people won't have money to pay their bills. That means you might start to see banks suffer because people might not be able to make their car payment or their mortgage payments. You'll see stores suffer because over the last decade, pretty much every store started offering financing to their customers. And you'll start to see consumer discretionary businesses suffer too, like monthly food service plans. And 3, interest payments might start piling up because when people don't have cash to pay their bills, they turn to debt. Americans are already sitting at a record high amount of credit card debt. So if we come this far, that means that bankruptcies might start going up for people, which means credit card companies might start to suffer too because people have a lot of credit card debt. We don't live in a financial bubble. Everything is connected. So if businesses stop making money, then eventually it all flows down and these things start falling like dominoes. So what do you do besides buying up a bunch of cheap stocks? Do you lock down the country and potentially risk this type of financial crisis or recession, or do you just try to slow things down and hope that it gets better? Obviously, your health is the #1 most important thing right now. If you're not healthy, nothing else matters. The US government is talking about sending $1,000 checks to people all across the country, but that might not be enough for somebody who just got laid off if they don't have any savings. Not to mention the long-term inflationary costs of printing more money. You have a bunch of state governments trying to expand their unemployment benefits to keep people afloat. But again, this money has to come from somewhere. That means more taxes or printing more money, which means more inflation. But if these stimulus measures work to keep businesses alive through this crisis, there's a very good chance you could see the stock market rebound like a yo-yo, especially considering the fact that Donald Trump is running for re-election and he's going to base his re-election campaign on the economy. If things don't work out, we could be entering a prolonged recession. This is obviously something we've never experienced before, so we're making history. So what would you do? Would you go out and would you call for a nationwide lockdown? Or would you try to just mitigate contact and hope things get better quickly? I'm interested to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments below. And if you're looking for an easy way to stay on top of what's happening in the finance and business world, this way you can make smart money decisions, we have a free newsletter where our team first breaks down the top finance and business news, and then we show you how this news affects your wallet. This way you can be smart with your money. This newsletter is completely free, and you can subscribe to our newsletter by clicking the link up here or by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, share it with one friend. That way we can help spread the word. If you want to see what's possible if you were to enter a global depression, I already made a video on it, and you can watch this video on YouTube by clicking this button right over here. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.